Hello, my name is Nicola Harker. I'm a doctor and I'm a women's empowerment specialist, and I'm really excited to see you here today. In this free training, I'm going to share with you my 3 top tips for really excelling and thriving as a leader, and particularly as a women leader in the workplace, whether you're employed or whether you're in your own business, whether you're self-employed. Now, I understand your challenges because I've been in the same position as you. So let me tell you a bit about that. I know what it feels like to be firefighting and spinning plates and keeping everyone else around you happy, whilst deep inside you have masses of potential that you know you could do something with if only you weren't just so busy mopping up everybody else's problems. I know what it's like to be a people pleaser. And I know how frustrating it is to feel as if you've created a glass ceiling for yourself, that you're standing on the sidelines of your life when you know that you have greater potential. And I also know that many of the tools out there around business and leadership and resilience are very male orientated. And I believe that there are specific tools that are more suited to women in any workplace, and particularly in leadership roles, that I can teach you. And that's exactly why I've put together this free training for you today. Now, before we start, I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about myself so that you know why I feel like I can really bring you some value in this training. So I've been a doctor in the NHS in the UK for 22 years. Most of that time as a GP, but also alongside that, working as a Macmillan GP, so working for the cancer charity Macmillan. And in that role, that's a strategic and educational role, influencing and improving cancer care, cancer pathways, and cancer education for doctors, nurses, and my other colleagues. And really working with over 20 other GPs around the UK to look at what we could do to inspire and ensure that patients and people and their families and friends affected by cancer have been getting the best treatment and support possible. So my roles have taken me into leadership spaces. They've involved strategy, they've involved communicating messages, and I've been in some pretty toxic environments within the NHS, some pretty tricky meetings and really challenging dynamics. And I've also been a day-to-day GP, seeing patients every day, going through all of the challenges in life. I've had so much experience of listening to people and hearing the things that people say over and over again, the things that we say to ourselves, the things that might be holding you back. So I've spent that time really observing and noticing. But at some point in my own career, about 4 years ago, I started to realise I was heading for burnout, or at least if I continued the way that I was. And I got really curious about this because I thought, as a GP, as a well-educated person, if I can't find the answers to burnout, then how can I help other people? And I was really noticing that all around me there were mums and working women who were feeling totally overloaded with email, with social media, with expectations from work and from home, trying to be the perfect partner or wife, trying to be a good mum, or just trying to hold down all the corners whilst trying to really excel in the workplace. And let's not forget that there are plenty of challenges for women in the workplace. There's microaggressions, those subtle put downs that really build up over time, so that it's easy to stop believing in yourself. It's really easy to feel like you haven't got a voice and that there isn't anything that you could say that would be listened to. And so I know that in those kind of cultures, it's extremely frustrating to be feeling inside, I can see the bigger picture, I can see what needs to change, I know what I want to do, but not being able to get there. So I went away and I did loads of studying and loads of learning for myself and really worked out what are the key ingredients that would help me to thrive, and therefore how I can help my clients to thrive as well. And it's part of that I want to bring to you in this free training today, to help you to move your own mission in life forward and help you to reach your potential, whilst also maintaining some sense of balance within your family and friends as well. And in particular, I do feel that we need to focus on the particular challenges that women have. Now, that is focusing on one group of society. It's not that I have anything against working with men, but I've picked out the things that I think are more important for women in the workplace, and I'm going to share 3 of those with you now. So the first priority when looking at really thriving in the workplace is boundaries. Now, I used to really struggle when people talked about, oh, you must have good boundaries, you should just refuse to do certain pieces of work. If you're overrunning in surgery, you're obviously spending too long with your patients. Those kind of comments that we were, given in sort of time management training and things. I used to really struggle with any of that, because actually I wanted to do a great job. I wanted my patients to know that I was listening to them, that I would let them really tell me what was going on rather than just rushing them out the door without making eye contact. So time management around boundaries was something I really struggled with. But when I went away and really looked into what was going on for me around my boundaries and why it was that I found it difficult to manage my boundaries, and I also felt as if people very readily trashed boundaries that I tried to put up, I noticed something really important, which is that there was something going on in my internal voice that was making me say yes to things even when I wanted to say no. There was something going on in my internal voice that made it hard for me to make choices that prioritise my well-being over choices that prioritised everybody else's well-being, or just even wanting to be a good team member and to be seen to be doing a good job. So I don't know whether that resonates with you, but this is something I found really, really interesting. Now, the curious thing about boundaries is that we tell ourselves, and you may be telling yourself, that I can't afford to say no to that meeting. I can't afford to not get this piece of work done, or say that it's going to be delayed, because otherwise I wouldn't be a good team player. I wouldn't be efficient or effective in my work if I took those kind of decisions. Now, what I noticed about that is actually what happens is if you continue down that path of saying, well, I need to go to that meeting, I must get that piece of work done, even though I'm already overloaded, what actually happens is that your communications suffer, your work becomes less efficient, and actually, you also just become kind of grumpy and difficult to be around at home. So the people that matter most to you in your life, which is your loved ones around you, they suffer because you're there ticking them off for not emptying the dishwasher, or grumbling at the cat or the dog, or, just generally not being yourself. And so there's this crazy trade-off that we make, which is to say, I can't say that this piece of work is delayed, but then I'm happy to be really, really grumpy in my workplace with the people that matter to me most. And so this is so important, learning to navigate that internal voice that says, oh, I must do, I should do, I've got to get this done, I think is absolutely key to being a great leader, and whether it's running your business or stepping up in the workplace. Learning to recognise when you're using those terms like should and I must, and actually just pausing and checking in, what are my motivations for saying yes to this thing? Am I being a people pleaser? Am I assuming that nobody else could do this work? Or am I feeling shame at the idea of having to say that something is taking me longer than I expected? And really challenging yourself to think about, actually, am I making a good decision there? It's completely reasonable much of the time to say this thing is going to take me longer. And if there's a piece of work that you really have to get done, don't forget that it's possible to make adjustments at home, to say, okay, I can't cook tonight, I'm going to have to delegate some other jobs in order to get something done. What happens to most of us is we just continue and try and do everything. So boundaries is huge. I don't approach boundaries from the point of view of, you must put up boundaries. I approach it from the point of view of, let's just look at why you're saying no. What are your motivations? Is this about wanting to be liked? And in the end, is it damaging your relationships at home? So that's boundaries. Now, the second one, which is a really big part of the way that I work, is mastering your inner landscape. Now, when I was training as a doctor, and in all the leadership roles that I've taken, and I've observed other people in leadership roles, I know that most people are not taught or shown how to manage their inner landscape in a way that makes them a really effective leader. So what I mean by that is recognizing that it's completely normal to feel fear, to feel shame, and to feel like you're not good enough or you're inadequate, to feel anxiety sometimes, and also to have uncomfortable emotions about people that you're working with or the situations that you're having to deal with. What I used to notice about myself was that I used to either be feeling fine, or I would be feeling like I wasn't fine, and I would feel that that was somehow a failure. Now, what I want to teach you today is the really important fact that all emotions are completely normal. And as a leader, you are going to feel fear. You will feel shame, because all of us feel shame. We all have this intense, horrible experience of feeling like we're not good enough, or we're going to be sort of cast out from the tribe. And so it's important to learn to master those feelings rather than the hoping that they'll go away. If we spend our lives just hoping that we can always feel fine, we're running away from the emotions that are definitely going to be there, and sometimes they're really, really useful. And another really important learning that comes with that is to recognize that struggle is where the greatest learning takes place. So if you're struggling, instead of avoiding it and feeling like you're doing badly, actually noticing this is when I'm transforming, this is when I'm learning something really big. And really starting to embrace that and feeling positive about yourself, embracing all the struggles, all the messiness of being a human being, all the snot and the tears are completely fine. And actually, if we were a little bit more honest about our human experience, that's what everybody experiences. So that's number 2. And then the third thing I wanted to talk to you about, which is equally as important. I could have put it at number 1, but I don't, because I do things in a slightly different way. But the third one is strategy. Now, it's so important to have a strategy. And what I mean by that is not just having a plan for your work or your business and knowing where you want to get to, but it's also about learning techniques that help you to manage your time really smartly and really effectively. Understanding how your brain works so that you can time manage in a way that allows you to be really effective and doing the things that are your strengths, not worrying about your weaknesses. So many people spend time berating themselves for their weaknesses instead of really focusing in on their strengths and really focusing in on when they work at their best and how they work at their best, and building their strategy for life around those natural qualities. So some people call this the zone of genius, and it's when you almost dismiss something because it's so easy for you that you think everybody should be able to do it. Those are the things you should be really capitalizing on. So building your strategy for your business and your life around your strengths, that zone of genius where you're completely in flow, you just find things easy to do, even though other people say they're really, really hard. And managing your time in a way that you're not scattered and panicking and confabulating and procrastinating and putting things off and avoiding the really difficult stuff, but you actually have a plan every day of every week of every month. You know exactly where you're going. So again, I think this is a really important part of being a leader. It's a really important part of being an entrepreneur, is to be really honest with yourself and actually develop a clear, coherent strategy. So this is what I help my clients with. I help you to master your inner landscape. I help you to develop that strategy. And I also help you with things like boundaries, which are so important. They're the thing we have to do right from the start. We have to just bust those myths open and work out what's going wrong with our boundaries. Now, if you've enjoyed today's training and you'd like to find out more about working with me, I have developed an online program that works alongside my coaching so that you get a monthly session with me, either on Zoom or in person. I live in Bristol in the UK. And you also, alongside that, have me in your ear as you work your way through the modules of my online program, teaching you specific skills, helping you to build your strategy, helping you to really master your inner landscape, whether it's your inner critic or challenges with feeling fear or procrastination or whatever it is, all of those difficult, uncomfortable things that everybody gets stuck on. It's not just you. So if you're interested in finding out about that program, use the link below to request a strategy call with me, where you'll get a free call for 45 minutes where we can talk about your plans, where you would like to go in the next 6 months, and to find out whether we would be a good fit to work together. So I look forward to hearing from you.